I mean, guys just know, like, as far as me, I can parent. It's probably the best way to put it. It's like I can take care of the kids because we were a partnership, and maybe again, this is something that, you know, because our situation or our relationship was so great, we co-parented the entire time. So there was nothing that Jenica did for the kids that I didn't do on a normal basis. Like, I cooked, probably not as much as her, but I cooked for the kids. I bathed the kids. I combed their hair sometimes.
What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I am Tavares Ferguson, aka Ferg. Join my co-hosts, Razi and Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
Man, we lost two Titans this past week. One nationally, rest in peace to Representative John Lewis, who represented the northeastern portion of Atlanta down there in Georgia. Served like over 30 years. He's just a titan as far as the civil rights era goes. One of the leading people on the March to Washington. So he'll be truly missed, and just, you know, a personal brag. I was able to catch a picture with him, take a picture with him. I think that was like last year, or maybe 2 years ago, man. So I'm like extra happy that I did that. But so he will be missed. And also, man, a local Titan in Mobile that went to school with us. I'm going to be honest, I didn't know the young man, but Willie McCall passed away, from what I read, from the coronavirus. So, and he seemed to be, a big deal in the city and helped a lot of people and touched a lot of lives. So, you know, rest in peace to him as well, because a lot of people are definitely feeling that loss. And just wanted to mention those two individuals that we lost this past week.
Way to go, Buff. Appreciate you mentioning those two young men who were very impactful in their own right. So they will be missed and remembered. Razi, what you got for us, my man?
Now I feel shallow.
which you are. You've always been shallow.
Byron comes in, talking about how we lost folks. I'm talking about how I'm excited Legend of Korra is coming to Netflix next month. Oh, don't tell me you didn't like Legend of Korra.
I did. Okay, it right. Was not what it is. Not on the same level as The Last Airbender, and I don't want to even look at Buff because I guarantee he's looking at us like, what the hell are they talking about?
Listen, I just let y'all have it, man. You know,
because Sky is what it came. The Last Airbender came on maybe 2 months ago.
Or last month, June. So.
Sky is addicted to Aang. Like I said, some people that might have seen the post, I was with Sky Saturday or Sunday. We did a little family day out, and I was putting on Stevie Wonder. For anybody who knows me, that's my favorite artist of all time. And I was telling her, this is my favorite artist. We're playing my favorite song. And of course, it became her favorite song just because she's a daddy's girl. And I was like, well, he's blind. And I was telling her, she's like, is he blind? Well, can he see with his feet? And I'm like, this girl has watched too much The Last Airbender. Because there's a what they call an earthbender named Toph who can see with her feet, and she's dope as hell. But Sky's probably watched that about 4 times at least, maybe
Truthfully,
5.
Bro, once it comes out, I think Sky would like Legend of Korra better than she'd like The Last Airbender. A lot of older people was like, they weren't feeling it, but I think Legend of Korra probably did more for kids and had a little bit more kid service in there than The Last Airbender did.
We shall see. But when is it drop? Just so I can put Sky on.
I just said in August. I don't know. Okay. Netflix until August it'll tell you the exact date, but sometime in August. So we'll let you guys know how Sky likes it. My kids, I can't even get them into The Last Airbender. It's weird, and they love cartoons, anime, and stuff like that. Ollie wants to dress up like One Piece and be Luffy for Halloween. So he's already kind of made his decision on that.
Well, Last Airbender is probably one of my favorite cartoons, especially in recent history. What's so hilarious is people, if you could see Buff's face, he was so just out of it and stoic at one point that I thought his video froze. Like he just had no expression on his face. He was just
going on with the snitching on this show, man.
Well, you were just like, I don't know what's going on. So
yeah.
All right.
The other thing though, and Byron, I've heard rumblings, and so you may be able to confirm, but there's another round of COVID checks supposed to be coming for people under 75,000.
Yes.
Is that
yes? So I don't know the salary threshold, but the Senate is working on it, and I think the House, if I'm not mistaken, they've already like addressed it or passed a version of it. But
yeah, they passed it, I think, yesterday or today.
Yeah.
That's like the big breaking news came. So.
Yeah, man. So hopefully a little more money, show more love.
Yeah, we need it, bro. That's the only way that they're gonna prop up this this stock market until after elections, because that's what they're doing. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm gonna put y'all on a little bit of game. The market's not supposed to be as high as it is. Price to earnings are way too high. Companies just aren't making money. I think I talked about it a lot a few episodes ago. Companies are declaring bankruptcy left and right and losing money hand over fist, but for some reason the stock market's still up. And really the reason is because of all the stimulus checks. I mean, there's no reason that we should be at, I think we're still at about 11% unemployment rate, and the market be at a record high. It just doesn't really work that way. And so, again, it's getting propped up, and that's why you're seeing such bipartisan support. Don't think, especially the Republican side, that they're like, oh, I really care about my people. I need to get them some money. And, I don't care about the whole how much we're going into debt, because really we're having to borrow this money. That's another thing because of the deficit. But they definitely aren't doing it for you. They're doing it to prop up the stock market so that, again, because they love companies over people, and so that they can keep their money where it's supposed to be, and it betters their chances of winning the White House versus if the market goes down. So they have a whole lot of reasons to pass it, is why they're really passing it, and it's not you. Just throw that out there.
Okay. Well, they might. Nah, I might even go down. I'm not even going to entertain.
No. Not when they call an AOC bitches on the steps of the Capitol.
Hey, he apologized.
Whatever, man.
Well, in case you guys didn't know, COVID is very serious, and Razi's favorite president has acknowledged it, and that it's going to get worse before it's going to get better. So for all you guys that thought COVID wasn't real, the president has confirmed it. So, and if he confirmed it,
it's real. It's the truth now. Everything before then it was fake news. Now it's real news, because he said you should, and he also said you should wear your mask because it's patriotic now. Before it was oppression and it was akin to slavery. But now that he said it's the most patriotic thing you can do, hopefully, whatever, I don't care, as long as people start wearing their masks so that we can actually get through this thing. I'm good.
Okay, well, I'm about to get on a little soapbox real quick. Just talking about how fed up I am with how people are so drawn into other people's misery and misfortunes. And I think the last few weeks has highlighted it so much. And with Will and Jada, which we haven't hit on. I don't think we've talked about that at all.
We haven't. I'm proud of us for that too.
And Kanye, and my thing is just seeing all these posts and all these memes and stuff like that. And when I take a step back, and we've talked about this several times about mental health, and especially mental health within the Black community, and more so mental health within Black men, because we're part of a culture where we're taught to be strong and not to express our feelings and show any signs of weakness. And when you have people like Will and Kanye, who Kanye has been proven to be bipolar. So his episodes, even though Kanye's even I think, and when he is at his, I'm not gonna say best, when he's at regular Kanye, he's still somewhat maybe misinformed, or his ideas are still, I don't know if they're far left, far right, they're just far away. But when he had his bipolar episode this past weekend and people just turned it into a comedy sketch, it's just sad. This dude has real issues. Like, I think real issues, to the point it wasn't just a rant. It was, if you talk to, and the people I've talked to, I know a few people who specialize in mental health and stuff like that. And they're like, that was a bipolar episode. And when they get on an episode, there's no pulling them off. Like, it's once they're there, it has to take its course. It has to ride out. And for people to just ride on that and make that so comical and find pleasure in that, has me question what we look at as a society. Kanye's one. With Will and Jada, I don't care the details of their situation, because I'm not going to even use that word that people are making viral. Their situation. This dude is going through a lot. This dude's already been through one divorce. What you about to say, Razi?
Then I was just going to say, I'll say it, entanglement.
What a jerk.
I hate you.
What a jerk.
I hate it. Shallow. But it's just like, to see him, because I haven't even watched the whole interview, just to see his face and to see a man go through someone that he really cares about, no matter what they went through, the way Jada portrayed the whole situation, and for him to visually see him take that in, and people can take joy from seeing him heartbroken. Like, that dude, beside people like, well, it's all about the money, he's worried about his image. Part of that might be true, but you can see the hurt in his eyes, the lack of the lack of respect. This chick was sitting Indian style, like, cool, like it is what it is. So, I mean, and to see how many people just made so many jokes about him being funny and turning the E word, Razi, where are you?
Entanglement.
Into a viral. And even with 50 coming, like 50 came out and just came hard, like on some like we got to fight. Rick Ross and August have a whole song. Like, come on, people. Like, we got to do better, especially when we're saying, hey, black men, it's okay to be vulnerable. You're going through things too. And I honestly respect the shit out of Will, because I would have went ham. That would have been the last red table ever.
You'd have flipped it over.
Oh, no. At least. Did you see the picture? Like, she was sitting Indian style, like, it's cool. Can we say Indian style? Is that still
crisscross applesauce?
Go with that.
I don't even know what that means.
I see both of those situations.
I think is the best way.
I see both of those situations different though. And then you just pointed out, like, Will was doing his thing too. I mean, yeah,
they were separated. I mean, it hurt for him to really like hear it, but one, this wasn't the first time he heard it. I mean, you got to think about that. And on top of that, it's like y'all were split. You were doing your thing. She was doing her thing. You can't be mad that she got her little young thing on the side when y'all were going through. I mean, you can, but you don't have the high ground in that. Like, you can't be like, I'm mad and think everybody need to jump to your side. And I agree. I think they're very different, because I definitely agree with you with Kanye. Like, when I was looking at it, I was like, I'm worried for him. I'm sad that he's going through that. Like, I laughed. I did snicker. I'm not gonna lie. I snickered at it. But at the same time,
I'm still laughing. I hate you guys.
but I didn't make fun of it. There's a difference there. Like you can laugh, but because when you're just reading it, it's funny. Like some of the stuff he tweeted was hilarious.
Yeah, well, until you internalize things, you know. Like,
yeah, and then you think about it, you're like, man, I'm really worried about him. And so I'm glad Dave Chappelle like jumped on the plane, went out there, visited him. That helps. Just having people around you, like coming from somebody who just went through like a very, very traumatic event, having people that just like swoop in and help you is a big deal. So, I mean, I think when you make it public, when you're a celebrity like that, it's a little different, bruh. I mean, I'm sorry, but your pain is going to be entertainment for people because of that celebrity that you already have.
With the Will thing, I think he's fine. With Kanye, I do agree that he's going through something. I just want to make the point that, it's okay to hold Black men accountable sometimes. And far too many times I've seen Kanye's behavior blamed on the death of his mother or blamed on the fact that he's with Kim Kardashian. Like, we always want to blame the woman. Like, he could just be, have like you said, for have bipolar. And I think he's always had it. Like, his talent just hid most of it. But we saw questionable behavior in Kanye a long time before his mother passed away. We've seen it, but we rock with him, so we ignored it. Now most of us kind of don't rock with him in that way. And then B, his music hasn't been as great as it used to be. So it's easier to see now. But I definitely do think he's going through something. And with you guys, I didn't make fun of it. And I'm also sick of the Will and Jada thing. Like, for the love of God, please stop with the think pieces on Will and Jada. Like, if I see one more dissertation on that bullshit, I'm going to lose it. Man, they all right. They good. Okay? They good.
Well, with that being said, let's pay some bills.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Well, look who it is.
Sophie, are those your pajamas?
Yeah.
Are those Christmas pajamas?
They are.
Yeah.
She went and grabbed them.
Bro,
Sophie,
I know she's gonna be hot.
Bro,
it's Christmas in July.
Jasmine does that too.
Christmas in July. You should tell Daddy to buy you something.
It's almost my birthday.
No, it's not. Your birthday already passed.
No, it's in 12 days.
Nope. Not gonna buy it.
It is.
Nope. That means does that mean that we have to get you a gift?
In 12 days at least. I don't know.
Did you give me a gift for my birthday?
I don't know when your birthday is.
You never asked.
What a convenient excuse. Wow.
No, Daddy never told me. I never knew.
Oh.
I'll take that.
Way to go, Dad.
All right, people, we're back, and we have the three brothers' favorite little sister, Sophie, here for our joke. Oh, she's posing, she's flexing, she's ready. You got a good one for us, Sophie?
Yeah.
Can we boo you if it's bad?
I guess.
Okay. I'll let Byron boo you. He's the mean one.
If it's bad, yeah.
All right, Sophie, take it away for us.
Okay. How do you steal a coat?
I don't know.
I got nothing, Sophie.
You jack it.
John, let me go through my answers.
Oh, man. Very good as usual. Very good.
Good job, Sophie. Hey, Raji, try that same joke. Let me see how let's see how you sound.
No. See, that was my joke, actually. I fed that to her. I just use her to deliver. It's all about the delivery.
I thought that was a fairly violent joke for a kid. You jacket.
But it was good. It was good.
I can't remember. It's one that somebody tagged me in. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm loving it. People like tag me in them. It's great.
Yeah. So we have decided it's you. It's not a joke. Maybe we should have Sophie go over your old jokes.
Razi, you had a couple good ones, man. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Pockets. That's about all I remember.
Y'all didn't even like the pockets when I said it.
Oh yeah, you're right. It wasn't. I forgot which one it was. It was something. You had one good one.
I like the running out of material one.
Yeah.
Okay, that was I know it was one that had to do with clothing. So
yeah.
All right, people, let's get into it.
Oh, I do have one since we brought up Will and Jada.
Go for it.
Y'all want to hear it?
Go for it.
Okay. So if you have kids during an entanglement, are the kids called knots?
Yeah. You were saying, Ferg.
I'm still waiting on the punchline. I don't. Maybe it's your timing.
Are they called knots? It's something. I don't know, man. I don't know.
You stopped our show for that.
I'll delete it.
Nah. All right, people. So we're back, and time to get into the question. So my question, and it might be kind of weird, is I feel like you guys, and I respect the hell out of both of you guys, and for years, I look up to you guys in many ways, and I'm proud of everything you guys have accomplished. And so I know we haven't always been who we are. That makes sense. I know I've seen both of you guys grow up, and even when you were young, you guys are still pretty confident in yourselves and stuff like that. But my question kind of comes around because I've seen like some of these posts that I've seen other people make, especially a lot of these younger white people, that how confident they are being themselves and their feelings and their beliefs. At what point were you comfortable being you? What point were you did you become unapologetically Razi, unapologetically Byron, Buff, and what brought that about? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Man, because I want to say, I'm wondering if there are still some situations where I'm not still completely 100% comfortable, but I'll say for the most part, it happened just the longer that me and Tabitha, dated and became married and started hanging out with other couples. She's so, y'all know Tabitha, she's pretty much to herself. So somebody's got to be the outgoing one if we're going to hang out with other couples. We can't be the couple that just sitting there mute the whole time. We don't get invited nowhere anymore. So over time, and people always think this a lot, people always think that I've always been outgoing. It's not true. I still don't consider myself outgoing. I think for the most part, I'm naturally shy and I'm naturally to myself. But, being with her and being in those situations with other couples, I force myself to be the engaging one, the outgoing one, to start the conversation or contribute to the conversation. And that in itself definitely allowed me to voice opinions that I had that I may not have shared before, and just really helped me come out of my shell to where I am more comfortable. Like I'm a black man. It's embarrassing to say I can't dance. It's embarrassing to say I don't know how to swim and things like that. But over time, I've grown comfortable with my limitations, the things I can't do, the things I can do, unpopular opinions I may have or whatever. And it's just helped me be comfortable over time to the point to where I feel like 99% of the time I'm me. There may be a situation we kind of talked about on the last show, like if you're like one of the few black people in this huge setting of other people, that can be uncomfortable. And that's why you seek, being with people that are like you or whatever. But for the most part, I'm me. And I think it is because of that, man, just forcing myself to come out of my shell due to those situations.
Yeah, I think there's been kind of epiphanies or levels throughout life, right? So even in high school, I settled into being the nerd, right? Even around you guys, I always have just kind of been me, and was comfortable with that, and just knew that I was not like everybody. And so there was that, but being 100% comfortable was a lot later. And because I think you have to grow and settle into yourself before you can really say that I'm 100% comfortable with myself. So if you're 100% comfortable with yourself at 18, you're probably not going to continue to grow. And so my thing is I continue to grow, and probably in my, 30s, 28, 29, I hate to say it, don't hate to say it, but probably right around the time that I found Jenica and started dating her was when I really felt comfortable in just being me. Because at that point, you're still dating. And so you're still trying to adjust and everything to whoever you meet and all of that. And so, you're peacocking a little bit. So you might actually be a little bit more, like flamboyant than you normally would be, those types of things. And so I was comfortable in my nerdiness from very early on, and my geekdom and me liking comic books and video games really early on, but it wasn't cool to like anime until we were like 25, 30. Truthfully, I mean, so it's only been the last 10 to 15 years before you could actually be a black nerd and not get harassed for it. So when Dragon Ball Z popped out and everybody was on anime, that's when it kind of became okay to like those types of things. So as I grew, I was continually saying, okay, what do I need to change? What am I going to change? And everything. But when I found Jenica and we settled into a life together, it's like I didn't have to change. There was no reason for me to change anymore, right? It's like I can open myself up and be myself with her and not have to peacock, not have to change, not have to hide anything. I ain't have to hold that fart in because we on our first or second date. I could go ahead and let it rip while we're sitting on the couch, those types of things. So it's like really being comfortable in every aspect of yourself. Really, it's when you found that spouse, when you're settled in your career, when you actually identify what career and your trajectory in your career. I know people that are in their 40s, 50s that aren't comfortable with themselves because they really haven't found where they want to be in their career, and they're just kind of working jobs and type thing. So it takes a long time for you to really just be 100% okay with yourself. But yeah, I'd say probably around 30, 31, 32 is when I really was like, okay, I'm me, take it or leave it.
Man, you just made me and Tabitha relationship sound so old, man, because I think I farted around her when I was in the 11th grade. So,
you probably did a Dutch oven, bro. You were an asshole back then, bro. So you probably...
Dude, I put the music on mute and everything, make sure she could hear it.
Probably lock the doors, lock the windows and everything. Like I can see you guys in the stanza.
Yeah, but y'all been together since then. Because the thing is, you were able to get comfortable in your relationship part very early, definitely. But everything else you had to still get. Yeah. Like I could probably say the same thing about Allison. Like I was farting in front of Allison that early too. But when that divorce happened and I had to go back out and try to date again, you gotta adjust every time you meet somebody new. And
like Chris Rock said, when you're dating, when you first meet somebody, they're meeting your representative. They're not really meeting you.
Right.
Yeah, man. Good answers. But if I want to actually mention something, when you were saying those moments of like when you walk in a room and you're the only black person. I think that's cool because I think that's just natural. When you're in a new environment, those temporary moments of discomfort, I think everybody has that. It is just, I think being able to, the key is, does it does it hinder you from accomplishing your goal? Or are you paralyzed by it?
I got you.
And I don't see that in you. Like I see some people, they'll walk in and the moment overtakes them. They can't overcome the moment. And I don't see that in you or Razi. Like I think you guys always can rise to your occasion. You can adapt to your situation, which is, I think, big. You know, some people are just fearful. Or they only can survive in their bubble. Mm-hmm. For me, I think it's two phases. Because I think I've always been fairly comfortable being me. You know, I always realized I was different. You know, I've always been different. You know, like growing up in Dallas, I was usually the only black kid. Then when I moved back to Mobile and, you know, for the short period I was at Booker T, like that might have been the most uncomfortable part of my life. That like probably 2-3 months I was at Booker T, that was not where I needed to be. You know, you talking about being a nerd, Razi, you know, I got in trouble for being smart. Literally, the teacher sent me to the office because he asked, well, you guys are wearing these X hats. You don't even know anything about Malcolm X. Can you tell me anything about Malcolm X? And of course, I had just read the autobiography of Malcolm X. So I go in and do this dissertation. He's like, oh, you're a to the office. So, but for the most part, I've always been comfortable being myself. But I think when I really started feeling a level of comfort, and here's that HBCU moment, is when I got to FAM, probably about year 2, year 3, maybe right before I pledged, maybe around that time, I'll say 2000, after I was a freshman, and my sophomore year, and I moved into my own apartment and stuff like that. And I was kind of out on my own. And between that time and the time I pledged and then went to Afghanistan. So by 2000, the end of 2003, I felt like I had accomplished so much and I had seen so much, and to be my age, that I was completely comfortable being me for that age. Like I was, you know, I never really felt like I needed to follow the fads or, you know, or do certain things that other people were doing just because it was cool. It was just, there was a certain level of comfort that I can't explain. I used to actually tell people, and I know people, I told them to embrace their inner Ferg, and embracing your inner Ferg was basically just be comfortable being yourself. Like it is what it is. Your situation is what it is. Like I knew I was broke. I knew I didn't come from money. I knew that school was a struggle for me, but I was comfortable in that. I had my moments, but at the end of the day, I was still comfortable being myself. Even when Razi was talking about dating, like the stuff I said when I was dating or approach women, like there had to be a certain level of comfort just to say the stuff I was saying. Because I never felt pressed to impress women. You know, just like it is what it is. You know, either you like me or don't. Either way, I'm going to have fun. Like if I strike out, it's going to be a story to tell. And I think FAM did that. So I go back to my HBCU plug for a second. I think FAM helped me take something that I was already comfortable with doing and just taking it to the next level, because I truly feel like the right HBCUs are like small temporary utopias for a growing and developing Black mind. I feel like it's the Wakanda of America. Like it's just split up where you get to be yourself. You see Black excellence. You see these things. You see these powerful Black minds and these different dialects and these different thought processes and different experiences all culminating at one central location, and they're all the same age, around the same age and stuff like that. And being able to be around so many people and pull from them and give to them and stuff like that, it was just a growth for me. And the second for me was a little after I met Z. So it was when she moved up here, and it was after probably my lowest point I talk about all the time, right after I turned 30. And I made I started doubting myself before then. That was probably one of the only times in my life I really doubted myself. And around 2011, when I decided to go back into the workforce and I put my mind to something that I was going to marry this young lady. I was going to fix my credit. I was going to get a job that I was proud of. I was going to do certain things that I was going to do. I had this list of things to do by 35. And when I started checking those things off the list, for me, it reiterated that I was good enough. it reiterated that when I felt my best, when I was truly embracing my inner Ferg and being who I'm supposed to be, all my potential and all the things I had been through to that point in my life made me great at what I was doing and who I was becoming, that I got this comfort level again. And since then, the sky's been the limit. It was just always pushing towards that next goal, pushing towards what I can accomplish next. And I feel like I can accomplish the world as long as I stay focused. But I think for most people, we all go through those moments where we're uncomfortable or we're not sure of ourselves. But like you said, some people are 50, 60 years old still trying to find themselves. And I think sitting down and just kind of realizing, are you comfortable being you? Who are you trying to impress? Are you comfortable with the way you look, the way you talk, the way you dress, your income, your job, your relationships and stuff like that? Just taking a second and just not dwelling on it like in a negative thing. For one, embracing it and being comfortable in that moment and finding a plan to go to the next level. So I think I answered my own question. But I was thinking about that a lot this weekend or past week.
No, man, it's a deep question, and it's hard to answer because, like I was talking about those levels. Even you talked about the two different instances where you started feeling comfortable with yourself. So it's definitely hard to do.
Yeah, definitely. So who's up next?
I think it's Buff.
All right, so because I'm prepared to go through the entire story, but are you guys familiar at all with the story of the young girl who got sent to juvenile detention for not doing her homework?
Not doing her homework.
Yeah. Just like tertiary. Like I didn't get into the details though.
Okay.
But if you can give the listeners the highlights though.
Okay.
Because they may not know.
Quick highlights. I think she's 15 years old now. But basically, a lot of schools went to the virtual learning thing, and she originally went to court for larceny and assault. She had been beating on her mom. At one point, she pulled her hair and bit her. And so the judge said, well, look, I'm going to put you on probation, and these are the terms, and I'm going to be very strict about it. I'm going to follow to the letter of it. And one of those terms was that she had to, do her schoolwork, not fall behind on her homework or anything like that. And she had a caseworker as well. And when the caseworker checked in with the mother, and the mother said that, she's been staying up late, sleeping in, not checking in on time, and not completing her homework. So the caseworker was like, okay, bet. So she let the judge know. And the young lady, they're calling her Grace, by the way. They're using her middle name. Grace went back to court, and the judge said, hey, I told you what it was going to be like. So sent her to juvenile detention. Now, in this racially heated moment that we're in, because it was a white judge and it's a black little girl, the headlines that you see are judge sends black girl to jail for not doing her homework. And I think probably 50% of the people didn't even read the article, just read the headline and automatically got upset. But considering, some of the things that I laid out that Grace did, because her mom is the one that originally called the police on her a couple of times. Ever since she was 13 years old, she's been fighting her mom. She's been stealing. She stole like a tablet from the school. She stole one of her classmates' cell phone because her mom had taken her cell phone from her and she wanted her phone. One of the reasons she fought her mom was because she wouldn't take her to her friend's house. So, she definitely has some behavioral issues or whatever. But when you see that headline, and even with all of that being known, how do you guys see it with a judge sending a 15-year-old to juvenile detention? Because we definitely have seen, because the automatic go-to for a lot of people is, what about the guy that killed 4 people driving drunk? The whole, what was it called? Influenza or whatever.
Affluent.
I'm sorry, influenza is the flu.
Yeah.
and Razi,
they're too affluent. Yeah.
And Razi brought up the other guy that was accused of rape. What was his name? Brock?
Yeah.
So, we got dozens of cases that deal with white people that do far worse things than not turning their homework, and they get probation or a slap on the wrist. So considering everything that she's done, could the judge, because the judge is getting a lot of criticism, could the judge have been lenient with Grace, or did Grace need to learn that, hey, there are consequences for your actions?
You want this one or you want me to go?
I'll go first because I'm probably going to have an unpopular opinion. Grace needed her ass to go to juvenile. Because, like you said, it had been a pattern of that, and everybody thinks, because the social worker had been working with her, the mom had been working with her, she had called the police on her a few times, like they hadn't pulled her out of the home. So obviously, or my assumption, I'll put it like that. My assumption is that it wasn't the mom just being a bad mom, right? Mm-hmm. Because there are situations where you're like, okay, it's that mom's fault because, she was the mom from Precious. And so that's why this girl was acting out.
I've never seen Precious, by the way.
Bruh, it's deep. It's a good movie. It's hard. It's a hard one to watch, but it's a really, really good movie. Anyway, so my assumption is that she wasn't that. The mom wasn't that. The mom was actually actively trying and doing what she could. And like you said, the judge gave her the opportunity, put her on probation because, she had been assaulting her mom, and she still didn't want to do the right thing. So at a certain point, like you talked about, I think earlier, you have to have your personal responsibility for what you have done. And unless, and we can't look at the totality of the judicial system with Brock and everybody else and all these folks that got off. Now, if we want to look at that individual judge's record and see, are they being disparate? Then I'm fine with that. And if we can find some evidence that judge has let a, white male in this same situation off and didn't do anything to them, that's when I'm like, okay, I can call foul on it. But if that judge is being pretty consistent, he gave her the opportunity, he gave her the probation, he told her up front, I am going to hold you to the letter of this thing, and she chose not to do it, at that point, yeah, you get the consequences. So I think he did the right thing.
She, by the way, it was a she judge.
She. Oh, okay.
What were the alternatives?
So she could have just,
continue to let her just fuck up her life.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an option. Like my thing is, even with
so let me give you some additional information. So when the teacher was interviewed, she was like, because I do fault the caseworker because she got assigned a new caseworker in the middle of all this. And the caseworker did not check up on, didn't follow with the teacher, but the teacher was like, Grace is no further behind than any other student. Like a lot of students are adjusting to, virtual learning and all this kind of stuff. But I think what set it off for the caseworker, she's going by what the mother said. And the mother was like, she's sleeping in, she's not even logging in, she's staying up late, all that kind of stuff. So the caseworker was like, okay.
So she's the fuck up of the fuck ups. Nobody else doing their homework, but you ain't doing your homework. You already got a judge on this is your time to shine. Everybody else, ain't nobody else doing their homework. This is your time to shine. You have to realize that there's consequences for your action. There was times when I was in school where my teacher was like, well, Tavares, you're not doing your homework. Yeah, but I'm still going to make an A. Like it is what it is. I'm still going to make an A. At the very least, I'm going to make a B. That's going to upset me for a little while, but I'm still going to make an A out of this class. I mean, yeah, I had a little leniency, but somebody who's failing and they're not doing their homework, like you're not doing your homework and you're about to fail the class. Her situation is completely different. She, and I feel sorry for the young lady. Let me start with the backup. I hope for the best. I hope this is what she needed to turn her life around because I want to see our people do well.
Yeah, she could end up Judge Joe Brown.
It could be. Could very well be. But at the same time, it is what it is. Even in your situation, you said you might have had the unpopular opinion. I'm about to have the unpopular opinion. Like, hey, in this situation, if the judge let off, Bob, I think that's what we were calling white dudes last week. So I'm just going to continue Bob from this week. If they let Bob off, but Bob probably is still going to be okay because he just happens to be a white male and the world is just made for him. It is what it is. He's wrong and she made a bad choice by letting Bob off. But this chick's wrong too. So it's just like you can't always compare. And I hate saying this, like you can't always just compare what they did to somebody else. Like wrong is wrong. Like when I used to work at another place and like, well, you gave me the hookup for so long and now you don't want to give me the hookup anymore. It was a hookup. Like you can't be mad at me for hooking you up. Like you're not doing your homework. You're fighting your mom. You're not going to school. You're sleeping and you're doing everything wrong. And because I punish you for this or I don't allow you to get over, you're mad. Like there's no ground. There's no leg to stand on. Like she's wrong. And luckily she's 15 and she has the rest of her life to get things right and maybe going to an HBCU being in that black utopia will help her develop and become comfortable with herself. But hey, man, I have and I don't know the whole situation. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there was something in her life that triggered this and she's going through some stuff. And maybe hopefully in the juvenile hall, I don't know, maybe there's counselors or somebody that can help. Yeah, trigger this because
she's getting help in there now.
And that's my main thing. Yeah. So the same thing with any kind of criminal act or the justice system. I want to see reform. I need to see what you're doing to help her. Like if you're just going to put her in juvenile hall for 2-3 months or whatever the case may be and not help her, it's a waste of time. Maybe it'll scare her straight, whatever the case may be. But if you're not getting to the root of why she doesn't care, then she'll probably be in juvenile hall again. Or, that this is the beginning of a cycle, which I hope it's not. So if they're going to put her in there and the judge truly cares about her and has a plan, and I guess that's the question. Is there a plan of action within the juvenile system that's going to try to help her overcome this?
Yeah, like that's plug for ALI one more time. But that's one of the things we talked about in the leadership initiative was criminal justice reform and really truthfully as a society what we want prison to be or juvenile detention, but what we want it to be. Do we really want it to be a rehabilitation or do we just want it to be, hey, let's get these people off the street for a certain amount of time and just hold them there? And my hope is that, like you said, for that detention facility or that juvenile detention is really somewhere she can get help, she can get counseling, they can get to the root of why she's acting out like this. Because if her mom is trying as much as she can, there has to be something else going on that's just causing her to act out like this and not listen and not respect any authority. Because a lot of times kids will not respect their parents, but you put them in front of a judge and they'll respect the judge at least. Mm-hmm. So for her to be like, I'm not respecting you, I'm not respecting the social worker, I'm not respecting the judge, I'm not respecting my teacher, whatever, there has to be something else going on there. And they need to get to the root of that. So I do hope that, she gets there and she is actually rehabilitated and helped to get through all of that. And then when she turns 18, her record is sealed and she can go on to be and have a productive life.
Man, you guys stole all my thunder. First off, I thought I was going to be the one that had the unpopular opinion.
What made you think that? What have we said on this show that makes you think we just like,
because she's been getting like support from Black Lives Matter, like people protesting and all this kind of stuff.
They probably haven't read the article.
Let me just and that's what I think. I think a lot of people read the headline and just jump to it. But let me just say this: if you're one of those people that thinks the judge is being completely racist, you may be right. If you're one of the people that thinks the affluencer guy that I mentioned, the Brock guy, hell, we had our 43rd president was a screw up. And if his dad was probably, some janitor in Mobile County versus being, the director of the CIA, eventually the vice president and then the president himself, then he probably never would have became president. If he had been just a black kid, with a father that didn't have any connections, he probably never would have been president, but he had connections. He was white. So if you want to scream white privilege, you are absolutely correct. If someone was white before Judge Brennan that did the same thing that Grace did, and she probably would have let them off the hook, you're probably correct. But she's not wrong. It's not normal to have your parents call the police on you. Not once, but several times. And like she started
Pause for, especially in the black community. Because a lot of black mamas I know, like, I wish them, like, it's...
And I'm getting to that too, because her mom admittedly said, she didn't know about any other type of resources as far as getting her help. All she knew to do was to call the police. And one of the times in particular that I want to get on is when she reached in the car and grabbed her mom's hair because she wouldn't take her to a friend's house and bit her. And let me just say this, Grace, I don't know if you have the means to listen to this podcast. I don't know if you'll ever hear this episode, but let me just tell you this real quick, because I do hope you get the help that you need. I do hope you become successful. I do kind of wish the judge had chosen to put you in a facility that gets you help versus just a juvenile detention. But I agree with my brothers that you do need to know the consequences of your actions. But let me just say this to you and anyone that's a family member of her. It may be good that you're in the juvenile detention, because if you were my child, you may have wound up in the hospital if you bit me or my wife. I'm going to let you know that right now. So you may actually be a lot luckier being your mom's daughter versus my daughter, because I wish to God my daughter would ever do anything like pull Tabitha's hair or bite. Are you crazy? No. So
quick question. So would it have been you or would it have been Tab? Because I kind of think Tab would have lost it.
Tab would have lost it too. Tab would have definitely.
And you know what's crazy?
Lost it.
Is there a father in the house?
No, he chose not to be in her life when she was pregnant, so he never was part of her life.
Because I just assumed, and so I was correct in my assumption.
And I do want to put this out here too, because I think you guys touched on it. We don't know what Grace is dealing with. I mean, so many of our little girls get sexually molested and assaulted at an early age, and they don't want to tell anybody because they think it's their fault. And that can manifest your behavior in so many different ways. So I don't want to like recklessly speculate, but we don't know what all is going on with her, but she's clearly acting out and she's clearly having behavior issues. Now, the judge feels like she's helping Grace. She said, look, I sent her to juvenile detention. She's no longer in juvenile detention anymore, by the way. She's in a facility that deals with helping kids with behavioral issues. And she was like, since I've sent her, I've been told that her behavior has gotten much better, and I would have been doing her a disservice had I let her go back home. And so I know people want to be angry anytime there's a white person punishing a black person. And when you read that headline, because I saw it like on a Saturday, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. And like I ignored it for like the next 3 days. And finally I said, let me read this and see what's going on. And it's not as black. This ain't, the typical, because when I read the headline, I automatically thought about the judge in the Natasha Harlan case when the Asian lady killed her over a bottle of orange juice.
Say it. It's not as black and white as you thought it is. Come on. That's what you wanted to say.
I know. I was trying to avoid saying that. You got me. But this ain't it, man. This ain't it. And I have no problem with anyone disagreeing with what the judge did. If you're one of those people that's saying, man, she should have got that girl some help, she didn't have to send her to jail. I hear you, but I also hear what you two have said. And even what my wife said, because I talked to her about this case. She's stolen 2 things before, multiple times assaulting her mom. They've given her second chances already. So you can't say she should have been given a second chance, because she's had 6 or 7 chances.
So this will be a question for a later show. But I mean, I guess my original question on this it holds true. What are the alternatives? Like, do we have a system set up for these kids who maybe, I can't even say nonviolent crime, like assault. Like she's theft, assault, like violent. Like I don't know what else you want to do.
Just like her mom said, I didn't know. Most people don't know. There are other avenues that you can take with trying to get free assistance. But no, there's free assistance out there through social services and things like that. But the wait times are so super long. The caseloads for the social workers. So because my line brother actually worked with I can't remember the company right out of college. That's what he did. And he would go into schools and be the social worker for those at-risk kids. So there are services out there for the kids, but the problem is it's hard to get in them. Most people don't know about them. And so reach out to your local social services or city hall and ask what's out there, because there's a lot of foundations and there's a lot of nonprofits that do that type of work. If you do have to do that before you call the police, because once the police are involved, they're going to go down the normal criminal justice system. And so we talked about criminal justice reform and what we need to do to change that. That needs to still happen. And so then that judge would have been able to say, I am sending you to this social services place instead of sending you to juvenile detention, because I recognize that you're acting out for some reason. It's not necessarily that you're just a bad kid and I'm putting you in juvenile detention.
Or maybe she needed to go here first to realize how close she is to the edge before the other option makes sense to her. So, because we've all made mistakes, and I think 90% of the people know what we're supposed to do in life, right and wrong, and we still make bad choices until it's too late. So,
yep.
Rob, what you got for us, man?
All right, so I'll go to a question. I've been holding on for a second on this one, trying to look for the right time to ask it, and we're talking about family today, and I've already invoked Allison's name, so might as well go for it. There. So, and I cleared it with her before, just to let y'all know. So
too far, I'm nervous.
I'm gonna leave this laugh in too. Allison, you hear them talking like they be checking me though. They be like, no, don't say that.
Yep.
But for real, for the listeners that don't know, Allison is my oldest daughter, Haley's mother, and she right now is on the front lines fighting COVID as a travel nurse. Shout out to her. Much love to the first responders.
Much love.
But when she finished her nursing license, she also has a younger daughter. So Haley's in college, so it's not as big of a deal, but she has a younger daughter. And when she finished her license, she was trying to figure out if she wanted to go travel nursing or not. And one of the things was that if she went to travel nurse, then she would have to leave Addie with, her Addie's dad. And so she was like torn about that. And there's this stigma about a custodial parent leaving a child with another parent while they go do something, but a 2-parent household can do that all the time. Ferg, you travel for your job. You're gone most of the week. And it's no second thought about you leaving your child or your children with your wife. But for some reason, there's this stigma about a single mom leaving the kids with the dad. So my question is kind of two-pronged is, why do you think people feel like fathers can't raise kids? Single dad right here, and I've kind of felt that, like, people felt like they need to swoop in and, like, help me parent. And also, in that same instance, non-custodial parents not being able to parent their children or be able to keep their children, and that stigma for that custodial parent for leaving them with the non-custodial parent. Like, people be like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't give up my child. Like, they're giving up the kid because they're trying to do what's best for them or what's best for the family.
I'll go first on this one. First of all, I think it goes back to something we've said several times. I think the way, especially in American society, men are raised or groomed, it's a lot of times we aren't taught to nurture. It's not first nature for us, so I think that stigma it holds true. Just like I said, a lot of times, people aren't going to send their kids to daycare with men as teachers. They're not like, male teachers aren't usually that prevalent until later in life when the girls more self-sufficient and stuff like that. I think that holds true in daily raising of kids as well. Like, people just don't think men can do it. And I think part of it is a crutch too. Like, I mean, it gives us an opportunity to kind of bow out. Like, so, and then your second part is, don't even say custodial parents, say custodial mothers. Because if, you know, if it was on the shoe was on the foot and the father was being, you know, this great single dad who got custody of the kids, and he decided to take a job and to do something to further the family and sent the kids with the mother, there would be no issue. Or the issue wouldn't be as big. It's because it's a mother. And so, you know, it is what it is. People just think women have a place. And their place, you know, they can work, but they still got to be a mother. They got to be a mother first. You know, job, wife, all that secondary. They have to be a mother first. And I think it sucks. I commend Allison. You know, that's a hard decision to make. You know, it's a hard decision for me not to be home with my kids. You know, for you all that don't know, we have a 1-year-old son, and last year my wife was put on bed rest because of complications with the pregnancy, and I still had to work. So I was leaving almost every week, and it hurt my heart every time I walked out of the door because I couldn't be there for her. I couldn't be there for my daughter. And hats off to my sister and stepmom and their family for being able to step up and help ease that burden while I was traveling. But for most people, it wasn't that big of a deal. You know, if the shoe was on the other foot, you know, they would have called for the torches and tar and feather Z for the same situation. And I commend Allison. That's a tough thing, I think, for any parent, just to have to leave their kids to help progress their career, their lives. And also, I think it's admirable because it teaches Haley and Addie and any other young lady who's watching that you still can be you. Don't lose yourself all the time in family. You know, now Haley can see, like, hey, it's okay to be a provider for my family. It's okay to do the same thing that's acceptable for men, because we're talking about glass ceilings all the time. That's a glass ceiling. Well, you can't take this great job or this great opportunity because you're a mother. That's freaking stupid. You know, we're putting, you know, we're not even limiting, like, the company's not limiting socially, you know, we're limiting what a woman can do. So I think it's stupid.
Well, there's not a whole lot to add when the previous answer is perfect. Ferg pretty much hit everything that I wanted to say, because I was going to challenge that. Is it the whole non-custodial issue? Is it just the issue that it's a woman traveling? And he touched on all that. It's the only time I've ever taken up for Sarah Palin when she was running for vice president. You know, people were saying she should stay home and take care of her kids. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I mean, I don't like her, but that's not why she should stay home. So it's just the way men and women have been portrayed through the years, especially in this country. And I think we're still not used to women doing that type of stuff, you know, traveling and leaving their kid with. And it's not like, especially in Allison's case, or even in your example, it's not like they're leaving their kid with an aunt or a cousin or something. Like, they're with their parent. So it should be no problem. It's just a matter of if you can deal with it. If you personally can deal with that sacrifice of being away from your child, and that's for a man or a woman that travels a lot. If you can deal with it, and you have, you know, your other the other parent is available, then by all means, go for it.
It would have still been a problem if they were together, married, and she went off. They would still have a problem. So it's not her being the custodial parent. It's because she's the mom. That's all it is. Like, we can sugarcoat it any way we want. It's because she's the mom. It's just that simple. Yeah. You know, it is what it is. You know, so.
Yeah.
So you just going to leave your child?
Yeah. And Allison said she actually heard that, from people, and that's sad, but because I mean it's the gender rolled BS of the mother does this, the father does this. I saw a post on Facebook. They were talking about how our boys are being raised to argue like women, and I'm like, that's stupid.
That dumbass post. Oh my god.
Yeah, y'all know which one I'm talking about. Like,
yeah.
Like it makes no sense because the thing about it is, women who argue like that are just as wrong. So how about you teach your young ladies not to argue like that, not to go off on the fly off on everybody, and not roll their neck and have to actually go after every person that tries to challenge them. And the problem is, by saying, "Oh, we're not going to raise our boys to argue at all," what they do is they end up hitting. And so that's why we have so much DV or domestic violence. That's why we have so many boys that learn how to hit, because that's all they know. They don't know how to actually argue a point or debate. Again, going back to what I talked about, we need to learn how to debate. But yeah, you guys hit the nail on the head. It's one of those things that I'm starting to really, it's starting to kind of irk me sometimes at how people feel like I can't do it. And shout out to Roderick Addy's dad is the same way. Like, people are like, "Oh, he can't do it," and why would a woman leave her daughter with a man? I'm like, that's her dad. Like, it's not a man, it's her dad. And so I understand we talked, Byron mentioned it, there are guys out there that molest girls and everything like that. My thing is, that mother should know that is there. They should be able to see those warning signs, or I hope they should be able to see those warning signs in that spouse to be like, I can't leave my child with them. We're not talking about those situations. We're talking about a spouse or, a person that, or a father that has shown you every which way that they are responsible as a parent, and you feel comfortable, like you said, Byron, to be able to lead that child with them. So my hat's off to Allison as well. I mean, guys, just know, like, as far as me, I can parent. It's probably the best way to put it. It's like I can take care of the kids. Because we were a partnership, and maybe again, this is something that, because our situation or our relationship was so great, we co-parented the entire time. So there was nothing that Jenica did for the kids that I didn't do on a normal basis. Like, I cooked, probably not as much as her, but I cooked for the kids. I bathed the kids. I combed their hair sometimes. So, like, for me, it was just more of what I had been doing, but it wasn't like, oh my God, I don't know how, there's no way, I don't know how to do this at all. I mean, it's things that you can do. And so just let's get out of these gender roles and these gender norms and get down to just being good people and being able to be in good relationships and choosing the right people, people over with a 500 credit score, as Ani said.
Yeah, man. Well, hats off to you, Razi. And I tell people all the time, and when they talk about, mothers and fathers and the way they parent, we just might parent different. Like, that's the thing. Mm-hmm. That's what people have to realize is, like, the things that one mother or the mother might think are so important, all these little details that she wants to implement, the father might not do. But it's not wrong because he doesn't do that or see that or agree with that. It's just, we're different and we parent different. Or some of the things, the way we react to certain things are different. It's not right or wrong. It's just different. And so you definitely can parent. You're great. The patience you have, I talk to you all the time. The patience you have, I'm working on that as well. But I know I still can raise my kids. Right. And even, you were talking about being with that father. Even if it was a grandparent, it was an aunt, a sister, like, people still have the right to live. I personally think people still have the right to live their lives, especially if they're not running from their obligations. They're not running from the kids. It's, hey, if I do this for 2 to 3 years, the life I can provide for my kids, it could change my life. change their lives.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with that? That's part of the reason I took this job. I don't want to travel for my whole life, but I want to be able to have a job that pays good money where I can make a good living, provide and stack money and do these things for my family, and also show my family it's okay to travel and do things that might be a little taboo, like you're leaving your wife and at home with the kids all the time. Yeah, it's not even about the money. It's also some of the things I can teach, but Allison's teaching people that they can go out and live their lives and do things and travel and have these type jobs as well. So once again, hats off to you, Allison. Hats off to all the traveling nurses and women that are doing their thing and not giving into gender roles because the world told them that they're bad parents. You're not bad parents. You're great examples. So.
And that's the thing, man. She's like out there working. Ain't like she out there following Jeezy on a nationwide tour or something. Like she's working. You know what I mean? So
at one of the most important times to be a nurse in recent American history.
Definitely.
She's only on the front line.
Right.
She's only just fighting COVID, you know. That's all. Nothing big.
Yeah. Nothing big. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hattie, Haley, your mom's hero.
4 million people now in this country alone have gotten it. 4 million.
Yep. What are we at? Like 130 something thousand deaths?
Yeah.
It's going up every day though. It'll. When's the next big holiday? That's what our next big spike will be. And then cold and flu season. It's about to be crazy.
I mean, you can call Labor Day a big holiday, but really Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but Labor Day is a big beach day, so that's the thing. It's a big travel weekend, and so there'll be Labor Day parties and stuff. Even though people aren't at work right now, they could, have a party any weekend. But for some reason, they want to do it on Labor Day weekend because that's what they know. And people like normalcy, so you gotta understand that little piece of normalcy might be the thing that's getting them through this right now. They just got to be smart about it. I mean,
you're right. We can have a barbecue tomorrow. People at home.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Great question, man. You had anything else you wanted to add?
Nah, man. That's it.
Besides Allison, you're a hero. Great show, fellas. I had fun as usual. Had a blast. I don't think we were too angry today. I don't know. We weren't. Were we really angry?
Nah, we've been doing good with the anger.
We've been doing good. You know, not the angry black dudes this month.
We got a little angry at that post.
Oh yeah, that post. So fellas, let's take them out. Let's go ahead and close the show out.
Well, I kind of criticized Florida last week. You know, saying I'm sure you want another governor, but I want to congratulate him now. I mean, Trump has decided to cancel his Republican convention in Jacksonville there. So, you know, good news for you guys that didn't want him there. I guess if you wanted him there, then just go to wherever he decides to go. But great for you guys. He won't be coming there, so that's good. Also, I just want to let the listeners know we're coming up on a complete year next month of doing this show. And I know from almost every episode, we thank you guys for listening. And I don't want you guys to think that's just a routine thing we do. We really mean that. Like Ferg came to me and Razi with this idea maybe a year and a half ago, and it just progressed until we finally started recording. But we didn't really know what we were going to be doing. We just kind of hit the record button and started talking. And to our surprise, we have a significant amount of you that decided you wanted to hear our opinions, and that means a lot to us. So we just thank you guys. We're coming up on a year, and we just hope that we're continuing to get better and better in your opinions. So, you know, Ferg is going to give you the 6 rules of podcasting at the end of the episode, but I just want to reiterate one of them. Please share. Like that's the number one goal for us. Like that's the reason we have the merchandise that we have, 3brothersense.com, by the way. But that's the reason why we have the merchandise, not to make any profit. We just want you to spread the word. When you wear that shirt, who is that? What is that? And you can tell somebody about it. So please share the show, you know, share the post on social media. And, you know, we love you guys. If you can hear my voice, we love you guys. I love you guys more than I did yesterday and a little less than I do tomorrow. Love you.
But that was a Mr. Rogers close, bro.
You know what I'm saying? I just need the sweater.
Well, we're gonna do a little different this week. I'm gonna go ahead and say my piece. I'm gonna let Razi close out. I want to say, speaking of our fans or our listeners, I love you guys, but to you two, I love you like brothers, and I have brothers, and I love them too. But I love you guys like brothers. And Razi, just once again, I've said it 1,000 times. I really respect the hell out of you. And everything you've gone through and everything, all the wisdom you've been able to share and how strong you've been during this time. And I know it's this week, and by the time the listeners listen to this show, this weekend will pass. But I want to say I'm with you, even though I'm with you in spirit and heart, even though I won't be with you physically this weekend. I know it's a trying time coming up, and you're going to be thinking about a lot. This is for the listeners that might have missed the last episode. This is Jenica's birthday weekend. Ooh, we love you, Jenica. I know you're partying, whatever you are. And hats off to your family. You have an awesome support system. And I love them like they're my family as well. So with that being said, I'm going to leave it to you to close out however you want. I hope I didn't put you on the spot.
No, man. No, thanks. No, it's good, man. Thank you for that. Thank you again. I've said it a few times. Thank everybody for their support. Thank you everybody who reaches out, just checks on me randomly. I appreciate every last text, every last call. That's been huge for me, just getting me through. You have your up days and your down days, and you put the mask on to go to work, to have the podcast, and I talked about it at the funeral. The Army taught me to compartmentalize, and so I compartmentalize a lot. And sometimes you just got to let it out, and I do when it's time to let it out. But I appreciate all the support that I've been getting from everybody, man. And along those lines, it's Jenica's birthday. But if I didn't put it out there or didn't let everybody know, but the scholarship is actually on UA's website now. So if you want to contribute to this scholarship, you can go to ua.edu/alumni. And it says contribute to an alumni scholarship. Click that and you'll see Jenica's name there. And you can give to that. That'll be the easiest way, best way to continue to support her legacy, is to be able to give that scholarship. We've already given $30,000 to the school, the Alumni Association. Every dollar that you give, the Alumni Association matches. So that's a huge part of it. So we can so that means that because we've given 30, that's going to be about $60,000 towards a scholarship for a young African-American in fashion and apparel textile designs at the University of Alabama. So that's huge. And so I appreciate everything that you guys have done, and we'll continue to do for that. And I'll just close it out with the 6 rules of podcast. I'm going to try. Listen, like, comment, share, subscribe, and listen again.
Close enough.
I'll take it.
He did great.